Okay, I think it's time we all have ourselves a rational discussion about the BLM movement, and I already know I'm gonna get a lot of bullcrap for this one, but I'm gonna do it anyways, because who cares? So, we saw a huge resurgence in Black Lives Matter after the whole George Floyd incident, and you know, we saw protests everywhere, and it spread like frickin' wildfire. Literally. And we saw a ton of rioting. That's undeniable. I mean, you can watch hours and hours and hours of video of just people lighting stuff on fire, beating people to death in the streets, people shooting at each other in the streets like it's the frickin' Wild West. And the media and the leftist government has been milking it for all it's worth. I mean, they started up this whole critical race theory thing to start teaching kids, and in my opinion, that's just going to create more racism. Okay, they're trying to divide this country in half by making this argument that there's systemic racism in the United States, which, like I've said before, I don't know how that is if Obama ran 2 terms as president. You know, Ben Carson ran for the Republican nominee in 2016. But that's besides the point. And the media's been filtering out a lot of really important stories that need to be heard. Stories that would create 100 times more of the outrage than the George Floyd incident. Okay? And so, I want to talk about 2 stories that you probably haven't heard of. They were kept on pretty low levels by mainstream media. And so the first one I want to talk about, you probably haven't heard the name Cannon Hinnant before. And Cannon Hinnant was a 5-year-old boy from North Carolina, okay? And he was out riding his bike one day in front of his home, and his neighbor Darius Sessoms, who's 25 years old, walked up to Cannon and shot him point blank in the face in front of his 2 sisters, who were 7 and 8 years old. Okay, and you gotta go digging for that story, which is pretty pathetic. And the other one is a young boy by the name of Cash Gernon, who was also either 4 or 5 years old, and he was asleep in his bed one night when 18-year-old Darian Brown entered his home, kidnapped him from his bed, and Cash's body was found later that morning by a jogger in the middle of the street. Darian used a knife to kill him, just a toddler, you know. And I mean, anyone who even tries to argue that what happened to George Floyd is worse than either of those 2 stories is morally twisted or just completely brainwashed, okay? And I mean, it sickens me that these stories are hidden from the public. But I mean, George Floyd's family, they get a flag from Nancy Pelosi. You know, the point is, if you have to put a skin color in front of the term lives matter, you need to grow up and get your morals straight.